A Buy Canadian movement has picked up across the country. You may have noticed it when you go into grocery stores or supply shops, a tag that tells you if the product you're about to pick up is made in Canada.
Just half a year ago, the Buffalo Walmart parking lot was a sea of Ontario license plates, buzzing with Canadian families on weekend shopping sprees. Over 35,000 Canadian cars have disappeared from just 2 months of 2025 alone, erasing more than $5 million in retail tax revenue from border counties. And that's just a fraction of the real damage. So where's all that cross-border cash gone? The answer is chilling. It's not being shouted from rooftops or scrawled on protest signs. It's vanishing silently. Canadians are walking away, not with signs, but with their wallets, and that quiet boycott is hitting U.S. businesses harder than any loud rebellion could. Walmart, Target, Macy's, and other retail giants built their border empires on maple leaf money. But now that stream is drying up. This isn't just about shopping habits, it's about trust lost and sentiment hardened. This video isn't just about missing cars. It's about a shift in behavior that's rattling an entire border economy. Don't forget to hit subscribe for more deep dives from Clash Core Report. On weekends, the once bustling Peace Bridge and Rainbow Bridge now resemble sleepy Monday mornings. In February and March alone, Peace Bridge saw 35,619 fewer Ontario plates. Rainbow Bridge lost another 29,537. That's the equivalent of 2 full convoys just not showing up. Year-over-year traffic plunged 11%, dragging toll revenue to record lows. But the real gut punch landed on retail. Buffalo's Walden Avenue Walmart now closes at 8 p.m. on weekdays, compared to 10 p.m. before the pandemic. On Saturdays, doors shut by 9 p.m. Target in Blaine, Washington, has already axed an entire part-time shift, with traffic from the north down by a staggering 50%. Blaine's mayor, Marilou Stewart, even admitted publicly that her city's police funding is practically married to Canadian retail tax dollars. Fox 13 Seattle's retail data shows that nosediving receipts are freezing new developments, turning vibrant border strips into economic dead zones. And it's not just corporate giants hurting. Gas stations, souvenir shops, and motels along I-190, once jammed with cross-border visitors, are glowing empty. A motel owner near Peace Bridge told WKBW that weekend occupancy has collapsed to 38%, even after room prices were slashed by 15%. A Buffalo souvenir shop famous for its wings-themed trinkets had to fire 3 night shift workers. Every unpumped liter of fuel, every coffee not sold at Tim Hortons, is another slice out of Erie County's fragile tax revenue. The county's 2025 budget report is drenched in red ink. Projected sales tax revenue is down $22.7 million from 2024's forecast, a 2.1% dip that officials called modest, but which has pushed public libraries and road funding to the back burner. But the bleeding is deeper. By mid-February, revenue had slipped another $4.9 million, down 7%, just from Canadian shoppers staying away. If that minus 7% trend holds, Erie County could see a $41 million shortfall, almost enough to wipe out its entire winter snow removal budget. Every Canadian license plate that turns back in Toronto is a few dozen dollars lost, and that adds up fast. One economist from the University at Buffalo warned that the missing money from just 3 weeks of cross-border inactivity could fund an entire public clinic. But the scariest part, there are no chants, no demands. Canadians are simply opting out. And that kind of boycott is harder to reverse. Walmart is dimming lights, Target is cutting hours, and motels are putting up permanent vacancy signs. This isn't about price anymore, it's about emotion. Canadians once thrilled at Buffalo bargains. Now that thrill has turned to frustration. Rising tariffs, custom slowdowns, and growing political animosity have soured the experience. As long as that sentiment stays frozen like the wind off Lake Erie, billions of Canadian dollars will be redirected to Vancouver, to local stores, to domestic e-commerce, but not across the Peace Bridge. And the numbers back it up. The Canadian loonie has dropped to 0.733 US dollars, meaning $1 now costs Canadians $1.36, the weakest exchange rate since the pandemic. Reuters reports from June 30th confirm that just fueling a minivan before heading to Buffalo now costs over $1.55 per liter. That's before Ottawa scrapped its carbon tax in April. With gas cost exceeding $100 Canadian plus an $8 US toll, double the discounted Easy Pass rate, Canadians are spending nearly $200 just across the bridge. And that's before they even get to Walmart. The pain doesn't end there. On the way back into Canada, the headaches grow worse. As of April 3rd, Ottawa slapped a 25% surtax on $30 billion worth of U.S. goods brought in by travelers who exceed duty-free limits. A $40 bottle of makeup now comes with a $10 surtax, 13% HST, currency fees, and possible customs delay. Social media is full of Canadian homemakers sharing receipts showing they saved nothing. In fact, many say they ended up spending 12% more than if they'd shopped at home. Domestic retailers are capitalizing on the frustration. On June 16th, Walmart Canada unveiled new everyday low prices on essential items, claiming it could save a family of four over $450 Canadian dollars annually, almost 2 weeks' worth of groceries. Meanwhile, chains like Loblaws, Metro, and Sobeys are freezing prices and plastering their aisles with shop local messages. It's a full-blown campaign to capture Canadian loyalty and replace those Buffalo shopping runs for good. Dunnhumby's 2025 Q2 survey confirmed the shift. 64% of Canadian consumers now prefer domestic over cross-border shopping, not for deals, but for peace of mind. And while exchange rates, tariffs, and taxes play a role, the deeper force is emotional fatigue. Canadians no longer feel welcome. What once felt like a shared economic bond now feels like a border built on friction. And until that trust is rebuilt, Ontario plates won't be coming back in droves. They'll stay parked in driveways, taking their money, loyalty, and weekend plans with them. According to Tracker Wave 10's 2025 report, a major shift is underway in Canadian consumer behavior. 71% of Canadians now say they'll reduce purchases of U.S. food items this year, and nearly 1 in 4 believes that change will become permanent. That's not just a blip, it's a seismic redirection of 15 to 20 billion Canadian dollars in annual spending away from American shelves. And this movement isn't just about price anymore, it's about principle. An Angus Reid poll from February revealed that 78% of Canadians actively plan to support domestic brands, while 59% say they're ready to avoid products that carry the stars and stripes. From A2 milk to prairie-grown cotton jeans, the Made in Canada label has transformed from a simple tag into a quiet political statement, a vote with every swipe of the card. And when you tally up the numbers, the border shopping experience that once meant savings and excitement has turned into an exhausting, expensive ordeal. A weaker loonie, rising gas prices, increased bridge tolls, Ottawa's 25% surtax on U.S. goods, and deep discounts at home. Suddenly that cross-border trip isn't worth the trip at all. Erie County officials are warning that, if this trend holds, over $30 million in retail tax revenue could vanish in 2025 alone. But for many Canadian families, the decision has already been made. They're not protesting. They're just quietly walking away. No slogans, no signs, just strategic spending decisions that are bleeding billions from the U.S. retail sector. And the data speaks volumes. In just February and March, the Peace Bridge and Rainbow Bridge saw more than 35,000 fewer Ontario-plated cars than the same period a year earlier. Erie County's sales tax revenue dropped 7%, or about $4.9 million, in the first 6 weeks of the year. Flagship retailers like the Buffalo Walmart Supercenter and Target in Blaine, Washington, long dependent on Canadian traffic, are now echo chambers of empty aisles. Floor staff have been reduced, hours shortened, and clearance signs flap in the breeze like distress signals. And it's not just a local tax issue. Retail giants are taking the full brunt. Placer.ai reports a 4.7% year-over-year decline in foot traffic across the top 100 U.S. retail and food chains, with deeper drops in border states like New York and Washington. A leaked internal memo from Walmart reveals that 3 border format stores, built specifically to lure Canadian shoppers, are on closure watch after first quarter sales collapsed by over 20%. According to Barclays, if the slump continues, Walmart and Target could lose $1.6 billion in combined revenue across 28 key border stores in 2025. The pain doesn't stop at retail. Fast food chains are next in the line of fire. Data from NPD Group and tax records from 12 U.S. border counties show that McDonald's, Wendy's, and Burger King collectively lost $350 million in sales during Q1, primarily at locations within 25 kilometers of Canada. Canadians are instead choosing homegrown options like Mary Brown's or Freshii, avoiding customs headaches and keeping their dollars local. Electronics and pharmaceuticals are also taking a massive hit. iPhones, now slapped with a 30% tariff and subjected to customs scrutiny, are no longer worth crossing the border for. The Apple Store in Walden Galleria saw a 25% drop in foot traffic compared to pre-New Year numbers. Best Buy in Niagara Falls, New York has shuttered its Genius Bar on weekends to cut costs. Meanwhile, online Canadian alternatives are thriving. Amazon.ca reported that same-day orders along the Ontario-Quebec corridor have doubled since last year. Shoppers Drug Mart now offers 2-hour prescription delivery in 22 Canadian cities, reinforcing consumer convenience and loyalty on home soil. The fashion and luxury sectors, they're watching the biggest swing yet. According to the Trendex North America 2024-25 report, Canadian luxury designer sales rose 4.2% last year, and that growth is only accelerating. Even warehouse giants like Costco and Sam's Club aren't immune. Internal SEC swipe card data shows Canadian membership renewals at 5 key border locations are down 11.8% year-over-year, dropping revenue to the lowest since the pandemic. In a shareholder call, one Costco executive admitted, "We may have to rethink the entire border warehouse strategy. It's simply no longer profitable." And here's where it all points to a larger question. If Washington keeps clinging to retaliatory tariffs and stricter customs enforcement without addressing consumer sentiment north of the border, what happens next? Will the damage spread beyond retail and fast food? Could auto sales, medical tourism, or even U.S. universities be the next dominoes to fall? So, we turn the question over to you. Do you think Canadian shoppers are right to take a stand with their wallets? Is this economic retreat a smart move, or will it come at a longer-term cost? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's start the conversation. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss an update as we track this quiet but powerful shift in North American consumer dynamics.